Hey guys, welcome back to the late. I feel like maybe we should wait. Oh, this is going to make a
Okay.
great blooper.
Great intro. You're welcome, guys.
Excellent.
Good night.
I enjoyed that. No, we should have rolled. We should have rolled with that. Hey guys, welcome back to the latest episode of the Growing a Dental Practice podcast. I am your host, Mike Hennon from Patient Boost. In today's episode, I'm joined by Deneen Dismore, founder and CEO of Dismore Consulting. As a new patient acquisition specialist, Deneen teaches dentists how to attract and keep new patients. Welcome to the show, Deneen. Thanks for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, considering, it's pretty early here. I'm uncaffeinated, and I look presentable.
You look fantastic today.
Thank you. Thank you very
Did you
much.
wake up like this?
I tried, but it didn't work out. So
I just rolled out. I just rolled out of bed looking this glamorous. Yeah.
Just a quick edit. I put on, a little turn up here.
But wait, you haven't had a coffee yet?
No, which is insane, but I'll get there. I have complete faith in myself.
If we have to pause mid podcast for you to go and get your caffeine kick, then let me know.
That's right. I'll just, everybody wait. I have to have a cup of coffee.
Excellent. Well, it's great to get you on the podcast. I've genuinely been looking forward to this episode because I think it's going to be, obviously you're in my space, you're in the marketing space. So I think we can have a lot of back and forth and a good conversation. And also you've just lighten up my LinkedIn feed with your stories and stuff. And I have to specifically mention your recent unboxing of a burst toothbrush.
That's actually still here. Look.
Have you still got it? Wait, have you not used it yet?
I have. I have used it, but this is not my first brush. So
okay.
In dental, you try them all out, and the thing about it is, I'm in touch with the director of sales at Burst for the U.S. side. And, she's like, oh, I was really excited about somebody getting the floss, and I'm a raving fan, genuine fan. And I'm telling her like, oh my gosh, the floss is amazing. And they're like, well, what about the brush? And I'm like, just a rebel without a cause over here. I don't know. So I went out, tried the brush, and they were so sweet. They sent me one. So yes, I've tried it before, but that one is still fresh in the box waiting for
that one's fresh. I watched the video and I couldn't stop laughing. It's kind of like how not to do an unboxing.
It's pretty much a tutorial of how not to be an influencer that's paid in any way. Like, it's just like, oh, hi, I'm a marketing professional, and watch me botch every single moment and like just overcompensate with emojis and humor.
The emojis and the captions, I think, are what make it. Like it's like I my friends over at Burst, and it's like exactly one friend, and I was like, oh my god, this is so good.
So many friends at Burst, one friend.
Yeah.
However, I've got 3 friends now on LinkedIn.
Oh, fantastic!
So I'm coming up in the world. I'm pretty much an employee at this point.
You have tripled your connections at Burst.
We're up 300%.
But I think my favorite line though has got to be. Employ me now, or if you want me to be a brand ambassador, employ me now. It's like immediately
a brand ambassador immediately
as something's falling out the box. Yeah.
And that's so me because I'm from New York, right? So my patience level is pretty minimal. So when I'm like, hire me immediately, it's like, no, watch this. It's about 90 seconds worth of content. You should be able to make a sound decision, and please thank me in the form of a check.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm gonna leave a link to that video in the show notes, so anyone else listening to this can go and enjoy it. Because like I said, like not everything on LinkedIn is funny, but that stood out. Right, moving on. So before we dig into marketing, I would love you to tell me more about you, Deneen, and sort of what's your background, and how did you get to this point?
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, I'm from New York, was born and raised in Long Island. I did the Brooklyn, Manhattan shuffle. I'm United States based. And that's really where my career started. I was in hair originally. I was in the beauty industry, but I graduated in uncertain times. We were in a recession, and I found that while I enjoyed the creativity, my side that craved like the analytics and the metrics, I really wasn't speaking to that kind of a professional and creating that moment within my work with ease. So I kind of stumbled into dentistry that way, and it's been the best thing that ever happened to me. It was a complete accident. I used to shy away from being a non-clinical professional, but I think it's really added to my strengths. I have a business background, and it served me and the people that I get to work with pretty well because I am able to focus in on the bottom line things, the things that keeps your doors open, and do it in a lighthearted, storytelling, service-oriented way.
Fantastic. So yeah, like you said, you started in hair. How did you get your how did you get into dentistry from there, or what helped you in the beauty industry with dentistry?
Well, I don't know if there's anything. You know what? I take it back immediately. Immediately take it back. So I think that being genuine and authentic and creative is really celebrated within the beauty industry. And, dentistry, you think about the marketing, sometimes it's not the most sexy image that you ever get. It's a relatively conservative industry, but that storytelling, we always as humans crave those personal emotional connections, and being able to translate that to professionals who may be focused on other things like the clinical skills, they kind of matter, right? But let's make a moment out of it. Let's make it beautiful, and let's let it translate to people that might not have the same background that we do, but we could genuinely help them. So yeah, like just staying rooted in being authentic and genuine is something that I learned pretty early on, and it's really helped me to propel my way through dentistry in that way. Yeah.
Fantastic. And also, and I think what's great about you, Deneen, is that you're not just a dental marketing expert for the sake of it. You actually have worked in practice. Like you actually have worked in a dental practice, which is really, really good experience.
Yeah, it is. I mean, especially in Manhattan, it was the best boot camp of my life. It's a hard environment, but I really, really feel like it's helped to just really shape who I am, get things done quickly, and kind of play into my strengths a bit more. So yeah, it's been an exciting career so far.
Fantastic. And what made you sort of branch out on your own? What was the...
Well, as a marketing director, because that's where my roots when I was working in-house started. So when I had to really just dive into every single thing and own it, right? Everything from my budget. I had my hands in internet, so search engine optimization, for instance, pay-per-click ads, branding, internal experience, external experience, email communications. You have to really do it all. And so when I branched out on my own, it's like, yes, I do know and am familiar with things, even if I just had a strong vendor relationship with the professionals that were responsible for different entities. But I had to really focus in on what lights me up, right?
Yes.
Because especially, I mean, in any job, there's always going to be things that don't light you up. But I found that getting people, having that attraction in marketing and really getting people to look and have it be led by data, because one of the, misconceptions about marketing is that it's all about nudges and hunches. Now, everything's pretty much done with intention. So whenever you can find out what lights you up, what are you good at, and bring that to serve to others, I think that makes for a far more of an exciting and in many ways soul-serving career. And so, yes, I'm not really designed to work in-house anymore. Or maybe I am. I never know. I always leave the door open, but I've been enjoying working for myself as an entrepreneur. And
absolutely.
It's scary, but well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Never say never. But like I'm in the same boat. Like the idea of getting a job is kind of terrifying, and so I'll do everything to kind of avoid that.
How millennial, right? Like I refuse to work for the man. It terrifies me. Can you imagine?
Yeah, screw the man.
There's a boomer out there rolling their eyes at this. I mean, I hope we have that kind of reach here on the show.
Yeah. Or if not, I'll run an ad specifically for this episode to that age group.
We'll just pay for their presence. It'll be great.
Yeah. Excellent. So that's great. That's something. So yeah, it sounds like you've had obviously a very sort of mixed background, but obviously it's all kind of led to you being at this point. Obviously, you've got the in-house experience, you've got the out-house experience. Do we call it out-house? It's in-house, definitely.
I don't know. We can call it what we want, Mike. We're industry leaders here. We're going to pave the way, you guys. Jot that down.
So it's in-house and out-house, and it depends.
Out-house. That's right.
Excellent. So let's dig into you as a dental marketing specialist. Let's pick your brains.
Sure.
So, people do understand that, marketing is important. Most people, or at least most people, appreciate that marketing is important these days for marketing a practice and growing a practice. But not everyone has a plan for marketing their practice, and they do generally just like throw mud at the wall and see what sticks. So, why is it important that a practice, regardless of whether they're an independent practice or they're a group or a DSO, why is it important that they have a plan in place to attract patients?
I think everything has to be done with intention, and you have to have a baseline, you have to have a goal, and you have to be focused in order to achieve something really great. And they, as clinical professionals, especially when it comes to the business side of things, they know what it's like to laser in and focus on it in a specialty, and how important that is, that they really refine and improve on their skill, their craft. So just like how it is for a clinical professional to have a certain skill set that they continue to perfect and master, the same thing goes for the business side of things. If you're not organized, if you're not focused, and you don't have a clear vision, you kind of get those results, and it's really hard to function and be happy and proud of what you're doing when you don't really feel like you have control of your business in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we kind of think of it as, you need to put a plan in place. We describe it as kind of like, from a dental perspective, you wouldn't start a complex case without a treatment plan. So why are you doing exactly the same thing with your marketing? And just like I said, I appreciate that you appreciate marketing, but just not having a direction, it's just, you're just never going to be happy. You're never going to know if you get to that end goal.
Right. And celebration, I feel like it's such an underrated thing. I always tell my clients, listen, it's not, this is a little bit of Tony Robbins, but success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So you have to have that pinpoint, that goal, and then you celebrate it after you've taken massive action and gotten to that goal. So you know what it's like to feel that, and then you replicate it early on. It makes it a lot better of an experience.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's brilliant. And I think celebrating things more in general will probably be beneficial to a lot of practices, because it's a bit tough. It's tough out there these days. There's lots of competition. The world's a bit messed up place.
Yeah.
A bit more positivity.
I think so. It could definitely be missing on the internet, the positivity. So, so finding ways to, bring that light, especially to a place like dentistry. It doesn't have to be like this boring thing. It can be fun. We can be light. So we can, make waves of change that, affect people in ways that aren't just superficial. We're actually making a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, at the heart of a dental practice is the people.
That's right.
So absolutely. So imagine we've sat down, we've looked at our kind of goals, we've looked at our KPIs, we've got a plan in place. What are some of the things that a typical dental practice would do to bring new patients in?
Well, first of all, you have to have a clearly defined audience. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that dental practices make, and I get it. We're trying to help and serve as many people as possible, but you find that, the retention's not there. Patients can't really understand who you are as a group. Or what is that you're looking to serve them with, how can you help them? How can we build that trust? So you have to have a clearly defined, whether you call it a target audience, target demographic, client persona, whatever it is, you have to have that as a metric. Am I speaking to and adding value and serving this specific person? That is my version of an ideal client. So that's one thing. But also I think that there's storytelling, making those personal emotional connections. I touched on that before, and I'll say it again, really telling who you are as people, because I think a lot of dentists make the mistake of, they think that people are actually buying a service. There's so many dentists out there, so what makes you different? What makes you stand out? What makes me buy into you? Having ways to actually speak to them on multiple platforms, so that not only can you control the content in your online presence. I'm preaching to the choir here, Mike, but control your online presence, but actually have something to say and speak to people and in multiple arenas, whether it's your website, if you have a LinkedIn page, your social media presence, really just taking ownership of your brand in multiple places to attract the right kind of person. So spread your branches in an intentional way, and also to have a client referral program. Dentists will, whether they know it or whether their metrics prove it or whether they just feel it, a lot of the times their best clients typically are referred to like-minded patients. So having a solid client referral program, making it very clear to your patients that you are looking to grow, and that it is okay for them to refer their friends and family members to their practice, whether it's in exchange for an incentive or whatever the situation you might have in place. Having a solid client referral program is absolutely something that I would focus on.
Fantastic. So obviously a sort of patient referral program, is that,
Mm-hmm.
what are some good examples of like the incentives? Like, do you need an incentive, or does it
I
depend on the
recommend them. I'm a
practice?
gift giver. Everybody is
Yeah.
going to have their way of doing things. I believe in incentives. I believe in the science of influence of people. Maybe you should too. But I'm a natural gift giver, so I'm always going to recommend some sort of incentive. I've seen gift cards. I've seen just over the top, like really nice baskets where it's not like, the sad little bag where you get your sample of toothpaste. And then
Yeah.
perhaps a mildly branded toothbrush that'll wipe away after, you use the
Mhm.
throwaway the manual toothbrush a
Yeah.
couple times. But really welcome gifts and exchange for saying, thank you
Mhm.
for trusting in us and sending us somebody that you care about that we can help. Those would be like my top two, just to keep it uncomplicated. You can have a gift basket or a gift card. I'm a
Mhm.
millennial, so I like gift cards.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about gift cards, because like gift cards, like vouchers, I still don't. I know they've been around for a while, but I just don't know if I get the concept of like giving someone money that they can only spend in certain places.
Well, that's why you give them a choice. I don't think that you should be taking the gift card at all. And the
Okay,
thing about it is,
perfect.
if you have an intended audience, you already know
Yeah,
where these people shop and what they
exactly.
want.
Yeah,
And so you're picking out, some options where you can send it, make it a moment, make them feel valued in a way that's
yeah,
valuable to them. If your target demographic does not appreciate money in exchange for saying thanks, then that's not something that you give them.
yes,
And I
yeah.
think that's ultimately why you end up working with marketing professionals, because they'll be able to tell you what's a
Yeah,
really good idea given your goals and given your market, and given what makes you as a provider feel comfortable as you continue to show up for people that you care about. Yeah,
fantastic.
that's
I
such a
love that.
good point,
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That was really good. I wasn't expecting that response, but it was very precise and yeah. It's just like, that's fantastic. Um, I'm just thinking, if I was, say, I've just opened a practice, and now, if I've just opened a practice or brought a practice, and especially if I've, it's a startup, and hopefully I've been doing some sort of pre-engagement, and I've done some pre-marketing, and I'm trying to build to a launch. I haven't
Yeah.
just got the keys and opened. If, however, I am that person that has just got the keys and started my first day with an empty book and no one's walking through the doors, what would be the quickest way to get people in the seat and actually registering as patients, from your experience?
I'm gonna say this until I'm probably blue in the face. Sorry if you've heard it before. If you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. You have to know who you're talking to. I
Yeah.
think that a lot of dentists, they feel like they have to put a special in place. They have to immediately discount their services as a way to entice people to come to the practice. I don't think so. I don't think that's a good idea. Absolutely not. I really think that knowing who your audience is and then over delivering, providing so much value for that specific person is the fastest way to fill up your seats in a way that's sustainable. Um, I also think that when it also comes to new patient acquisition, I think that there's something that kind of needs to be mentioned is, the future, meaning having new patients is great, but that's not the only way that you can successfully build a practice. Eventually, you're going to want to keep them. You're going to want to continue serving them, trust that, form that trust, form that relationship so that they continue to stick with you, assuming that they stay in the area. The world's a little nuts right now, right? So there's a lot of moving going around, but there's also a lot of people coming, right? So
Mhm.
really doing the work to build that relationship up so that they not only trust you and keep coming back, but referring their friends and family members
Mhm.
that would be like my laser pinpoint thing. Yes, you can absolutely do a bit more with your online presence. I do think that, you know, you need to have that website in place so that you could really establish your presence in the area. Visibility is pretty key. So yes, have those internal practices in place to speak to your ideal client, but also put yourself in the game, right? People can't show up, people can't come to your office if they can't see you, if they don't know that you're there. So taking up as much space as possible, especially in the digital arena, so that your website does show up first, so that when people look for your practice, they can easily find you in a multitude of ways and find the way that connects with them and sticks with them, to, you know, that encourages them to pick up the phone and be confident in their choice as they choose you as a clinical provider. That's certainly, if I had two things to recommend, that would be those things.
Fantastic, Deneen. That's fantastic, and you've sort of explained them very clearly, so that's brilliant. And obviously we've touched on it a couple of times already, but like, you know, it's not just about attracting new patients, it is about, you know, keeping them and retaining them. What are some, you know, you've already said like over delivering and stuff. What are some of the other ways you can like keep your patients or and keep them happy and keep them retained?
Right. I mean, I think that keeping the relationship open, a lot of the times, you know, your typical patient's going to see you maybe 2 times a year, right? They're coming in for their routine hygiene maintenance. And perhaps, you know, if they have a treatment plan where they have some other work, they're seeing you a bit more often. But outside of that, that's not a lot of face time for you to build a relationship. So making sure that you're keeping in touch with them, your customer relationship management, whether that be software, right? You know, a newsletter, a quick email where you're providing value, inviting them to follow your story on places like social media is a really great way to keep in touch. Making sure that you follow up with them, right? So say that they missed their appointment, especially if they're new, make sure that you call and keep that dialogue open and continue to offer them service and make it about them so you can prove to them, like, yeah, you know, we're this purpose-driven group, this purpose group that's here for you, and let's keep in touch and let's keep the doors open. Yeah, I think that maintaining relationships, final answer, would be a way to focus on that retention. And then obviously, you know, making sure that you're continuing to invest in yourself as a clinician. So yes, you do want to be abreast of what's going on in the industry, making sure that you have the best, you know, equipment, the best tools, the best team in place. So continuing to invest in your staff with continuing education also is a form of customer service that translates to patients really well.
Yeah, fantastic. Because I think, yeah, I think some people, some practice owners, you know, do think the only way forward is to attract and acquire new patients, and they do maybe neglect their existing patients. And if they're doing that, then they are just like, you know, they're filling a leaky bucket, aren't they? Like there's always going to be some natural attrition. Like some people move at the area, some people, you know, sadly pass on. But if you're constantly trying to fill the bucket with new people, and it's just sometimes the bucket hasn't even got a bottom, like.
Right. I mean, listen, everybody wants to be wanted, I think is what you're getting at. So I think that, you know, and in that light, right, you know, you want to make sure that you value them. And one of the best ways to do that is to, you know, send the email, hey, we're thinking about you. Hey, did you know about this that's going on? And just continue to maintain that relationship. And if something happens, I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, expressing that, you know, you're thinking about them and that you care. Your any way that you decide when you nail down who you're talking to in order to bridge the gap and make sure that that relationship is solidified so they feel like a human being who's seen instead of just a patient number, I recommend.
Yeah, treat a patient is a person at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you've got to kind of treat them like a person. I was talking to someone the other day and was like, you should treat every patient like your gran.
Wow.
Obviously, if you have a good relationship with your gran.
I was gonna say, I hope your relationship is good.
But like,
yeah,
just that idea of like
that you care about.
Yeah, treat them like family kind of thing. Like, obviously, hopefully you've got a good relationship with your family. That's a different podcast. But
let's unpack that right now, Mike.
Yeah, let's unpack that. Oh no, that's a very different podcast.
Very different.
But no, it's a really good point. And I'd now love to ask you to share some of your like success stories. Have you got any like top of mind success stories of some of your clients?
I do. I mean, their wins are my wins, so I think I'm getting a little softening up a little bit because I get so excited and so proud when the stats come in. And my not it's my mission is to help them grow massively. I've said things like, double your patient population, but it's not just about doubling it. It's about showing up and providing not only value for them, but making sure that you can reinvest in your business and continue to serve in ways that you want to in your business. You have to have money to do that a lot of times in dentistry. So when, my clients come in and they're just like, guess what? I beat my baseline, I beat my goal, and we're doing this to celebrate, and here's a picture of us celebrating, or here's a video. That means something to me, and I encourage for them to keep in contact with me and tell me how it's going, as their consultant, but also because I think that's part of it, keeping that momentum and that energy up within the office. I find that a lot of my work ends up creating a healthier work environment. And so when you hear things like that, that there's some pretty good things happening. Everybody's happy, they're smiling, they're proving things to themselves that they didn't know was possible. That's one of the best. I feel like it's a really broad stroke answer, but that's my answer. Yeah,
no, it's a good answer. But yes, you are a consultant. You're there to help them with the business, but you are also like a cheerleader at the end of the day. Like, you're there to, you're rooting for them. I think you've got the same philosophy as us. Like, their success is our success. Like, we don't succeed unless they succeed, which is awesome. But no, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, this is a podcast for anyone thinking about buying or starting a practice, or on the other side, it's anyone who's just brought a practice and is suddenly thinking, oh no, what have I done? Hopefully there's not that many people that are in that position.
Right.
But I ask this question for every guest, because I think it's really super important, and sometimes the answers are very similar, sometimes they're very different, and it's just great to get the variety. But based on your experience of being in dentistry, of working in practice, working with externally with practices, and obviously being your own boss and running your own business, and doing your own journey, what would you say is like your number one piece of advice for anyone who is thinking about starting a practice, or has just brought one?
You're going to want to quit. Don't.
I'm glad you.
I like that you're laughing, but I'm going to say that again. Right? You're going to think about quitting. Don't. I think that's any entrepreneur, right? We go through these peaks and valleys of the business, and when we're on a high, it's because we know what it's like to feel really low, right? And I think that's embracing that, anticipating that that's part of the journey, and really forming a strategy of, okay, what do I do? How do I get back to being and showing up as this leader, right? Because you're not just a practice owner, you're a leader. You're taking responsibility of other people on, not just your patients, but a whole team that has a whole family and a whole living and everything else that they need to worry about. You have to have a system in place to bring you back to that moment where you're continuing to be passionate, and you're continuing to show up with integrity and exuding that confidence that's deserved, and pivoting as necessary and needed. Just don't stop ever.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice, and I don't know about you, but I don't know if it's quite. I have a like, what do I call it? I called it a lull, or there's like, I can't remember what I called it, but there's always like moments in. I don't know whether it's daily or weekly, but there are always moments like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I genuinely putting myself through this? The stress of it. You know what it's like. Even though it's you guys just had Labor Day. Even though it's the weekend or a public holiday, you're still working, or you're constantly thinking about it. It's the last thing you think about going to bed. It's the first thing you think about when you wake up. But yeah, I wouldn't change it. Would you?
No. I mean, like, my highest highs, nobody will ever be able to replicate that. I'm fortunate to be able to experience that, and I know what it's like to fight for something and show up for something that I want. And even when it feels like it's not working, as long as I'm passionate and love what I do and enjoy doing it, there's always the answers that we need, either within us or somebody that will be able to help us, right? So it's just a matter of digging deep and saying, like, I'm going to keep on showing up. I have people around me that can assist. I have myself, and I'm the best person in this business. That's why I got into it, right? So that you could show up in a more profound way, or at least that's what I hope for you guys. But I hope that you think that of yourself. You deserve to feel that way. But I think it's the mindset that really needs to be emphasized and focused on. Not necessarily marketing related, but I think the reason why I'm successful and able to translate and show up with that passion and those systems, those proven processes, is because I didn't quit on myself, right? And so, the best gift that you can give to yourself, to your team, to your family, is to show up as a consistent force that even when the chips are down, we're willing to do the work to get out of that valley, and celebrate as we do it.
Yeah, absolutely, Deneen. I love that. And I think, sort of touching on that, it's kind of like usually the first couple of years, it's just all about survival, isn't it? Survival, perseverance. There's the stats. I don't think whether you're in the UK or in the US, there's that stat like 80% of businesses fail after the first year. Then you'd be really lucky to get after 5. So like, you just got to keep going, and you got to know that it's worth. It's going to be worth it. I think I saw a few LinkedIn posts recently, and it was like, just always have your eye on the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, what's that thing you're getting to, and then you'll whatever hits you in the face will sort of bounce off.
Absolutely. Have a goal, be focused in it, and you'll be passionate about it, unapologetically passionate about it. And then, keep going, and then you'll get there eventually. You will.
Yeah. And get friends in a support network. Find people like Deneen. They can help you on your journey.
That's right. I'll talk to anybody. So my advice, like, they'll pour their heart out, right? And then my response will be like, hey, period. Don't quit. Period. Send.
Yes. Do not quit.
I will hold space for you in that way.
Yeah. Oh, Deneen, I have loved this. This has been fantastic. Like, you're just. I think the thing that stands out for me about you is just you are so passionate about what you do. It really comes across. It shines. You're literally beaming.
Well, that's thanks to my diva light and some glow from my makeup. But listen, if you want to give me credit for the Beyonce glow, I will take it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You can have that
Mike.
all day long. Anyway, but no, honestly, really appreciate your time today. You're a busy professional. You've got dental practices to save and grow. So thank you for your time today. If someone listening would love to speak to you, learn more, and potentially work with you, how can they get in touch?
I am the only Deneen Dismore in the world. I'm sure that you'll link my website, but visit me on my website. You can email me, connect with me on LinkedIn, anywhere that you see my name that has an opportunity to connect, like, follow, whatever it is. I'm always available to, reach out and see who else is out there on my website and all other digital platforms that I'm on.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. I will make sure that all those links and things are in the show notes, along with a link to your burst package opening. I'm definitely sharing that, because it's worth a watch.
Yeah, they'll get to see me in my mom bun, broken nails.
I think isn't it like I've got my son's asleep, I've got broken nails, I need to moisturize, but here we go.
Listen, I'm a mom trying to make it work. Here's this video. Enjoy.
So that's another amazing thing about, like, you are a working mum, and you've got so much to juggle, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one, Mike. So hey,
exactly. I'm gonna give every working mum, every business mum, or just every mum in the world, I'm gonna give them a clap. There we go.
That's right. Thank you for the clap. We like it.
What a positive way to end the podcast. So, Deneen, obviously, I'll see you around, see your LinkedIn and the various other things. Again, thank you for your time, and I will see you very soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike.
Thanks, Deneen. Bye.
Bye.